most of our trials are the stuff we never ask for in life. I don't think one person was born out of the womb, grew up enough to say, okay, God, I'm ready. Give me chronic pain.
That's right.
Not one person really chooses some of their trials. Hello, everybody, and welcome to podcast number 122 of the Gordon and Cherise Show. We're so happy to be back with you, and we are on part of this healing journey with you. Become part of it. That is what we talked about last week. This week, let's talk about the flip side of it, when nothing seems to help.
Boy, how many people have been there? Talk about a hook, line, and sinker. So here's the audience. How many of us have grabbed onto that hook and said, hey, listen, I can't do this. And no one really understands my pain anymore. They don't understand chronic pain. They don't understand the fact that it's hard for me, just something simple, reading. That's why we came out with the 100-page book. How many days do I have a headache, even 30 years later, where I've got a headache and blurred vision? And a lot of times I'll read and I'll go, hold on. I got to go back and concentrate even more on what I've read just because of the way my mind is blitzed with this fatigue and this visual blurring and everything else.
And
so,
the multitasking.
Multitasking, can't do it. So what happens is people who do live with pain that extends more than 3 months and extends into years and years and years and years, where it doesn't seem like their body is responding differently to a pain stimulus, people are dealing with new things. And boy, it does feel like, hey, listen, nothing helps. I've already been on the gamut of medication use. I've done meditation. I've done this, physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech pathology.
You took so many meds at one time.
Yeah. Chiropractic, you've gone through all of the traditional medical care and then all the alternative care. And today, everyone's got a new message. Everyone has a different lane in which they're operating. One day it's gut health. One day it's eat this particular protein. No, you've got to add this microchemical into your body to recreate this and stimulate this. And no, don't do that. You've got to do this. And if you're going to lose weight, no, time out. Don't get on the treadmill. You're going to have more cortisol, have fat storage in your body. You only want to try to lift weights. Oh, no, don't lift weights. That'll hurt. It's nonstop.
So confusing, isn't it? Especially when you're in pain.
And then when you're in pain, you go, just stop. Just stop it. I've had too much marketing. I've already tried 200 different ways to get better. I'm at a place where nothing seems to help. Everything contradicts each other. My body systems are in total chaos. I'm at a place where all my dreams are dashed. Treatments render basically zero results. Okay, I don't even expect the doctors to come up with treatment options. All of those are totally exhausted. All my friends and family, there's no more consolation in their words or their actions. Okay, you feel like you've turned into some type of obligation for someone else. Okay, and regarding your faith, honestly, you feel empty and useless. It doesn't feel like there's any substance to it. Yes, you hear the message of Jesus Christ. Yes, you hear the message of his love, which the gospel is real, but it doesn't feel real when you're at a place where nothing seems to help. That's part of our 30-year journey, is the fact that, what do you do when eventually nothing seems to cure your wounds? What do you do, and how do you move forward? And it seems like your ailments and your pain, they develop new roots of pain in parts of your body. And then what happens is you're plagued with all of this different competing forces of pain, emotional and mental and chaos, and your body is disorganized. And you're like, what am I doing? Nothing seems to help. And what I'd like to say to someone is this, because there's a lot of people in that place. You're literally dying to self. You're literally dying right now to self. And you know your instincts are unreliable. You know your thoughts are consumed by painful thoughts. You know you're emotionally frustrated to the point of fully exploding inside. You know that you can't remain in this combustible state that you're in. And you're about to do something ridiculous like become addicted to drugs or who knows. You're going to violate the part of your morality that you have, that's the compass in your life. And you're saying, why not? Look what everyone else is doing. And you're saying to yourself, I just can't tolerate what's going on with my life anymore. So what do you do next?
That's my question.
So this is what this podcast is about. Okay? So let's talk about it. Let's talk about some practical steps to take for those people who are absolutely at the bottom.
Yeah.
Okay? Well, the temptation is this, Reese, is to do what comes to your mind first. Don't give in to that temptation.
That may not be the best option.
No, whether good or bad or rational, irrational, or whatever, time out for a second. Okay, even though you can't take it any longer and you feel like something has to be done, you've waited long enough. You do not want to operate from a position of being compulsive. Okay? And when you're compulsive, it doesn't mean, hey, listen, I'm just going to do something right away and just make a decision for the heck of it. A lot of times that compulsive nature happens when you've waited and you've been patient and patient and patient and patient. And you've gone through all these treatments and you've gone through this large roadmap and you feel like you've gotten to a place of nowhere. And then you just get to the point of saying, I just can't find what I'm looking for.
Right.
So I'm just going to do this. And some of the worst compulsive behaviors come out and you make the worst decisions.
I call it a knee-jerk reaction.
Yes, Cherise.
Because, a person is wanting to come out of that state, but you can't come out of that state making another bad decision or making a bad decision that's going to cause more destruction.
And we've been there. And I would say this overthink principle, it's not overthinking about what you can have through fantasy or the hope that you have for the future. You've probably gone through analysis paralysis about your own pain.
Yeah, overthinking the pain.
Overthinking the pain condition.
How much has that been something that you had to battle with at the beginning, Gordon? I mean,
well, I can tell you through 30 years, I go through different seasons of it.
Yeah.
Okay. And let's take the first 10 years. It was a struggle. And we've talked about it in previous podcasts and courses. The fact is, I bet 70% of my thoughts were about pain.
And was it about the present pain or what maybe pain was taking away from you?
Both.
Yeah.
Both. It could be coping and then what was being taken away, but let me try something new. And then a new pain would develop or I would exacerbate the pain or the trauma that I was having.
And it would trigger the old.
It would trigger old. It was toxic. I was in this loop back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. So 70% of it was pain, and the consequences of having chronic pain were part of the scenario I was dealing with.
And so you've learned that you don't necessarily do the first thing that comes to mind when you're in that state.
That's right.
So where do you go from there, Gordon?
Well, I mentioned it earlier. You're in a dying to self process. I had to acknowledge what was really happening. I had to step back. I had to put new eyes on my life, and I had to be totally honest. Okay.
With yourself.
With myself. Dr. Gordon didn't have all the answers.
Yeah.
The Gordon part came out that said, I don't know what to do, God. I don't know what to do next. Pain is consuming all my thoughts.
Wow.
Okay. So number one, I had to acknowledge what was happening. Okay, because I knew that I was not in a good position to make a wise decision. So I had to go through a process of standing in my worship with God. I had to go through a process of standing with God and saying, I'm going to be honest and sincere, and I need the truth within me to help me renew my mind. I need to make a different decision. Now, you were at the breakfast table the other morning and you were doing some writing, and you're still writing out all of your devotions. And this
Yes.
year you will have a devotional book out,
Yes.
and it is powerful. Women especially, it is powerful. Okay, there's so much wisdom in your devotionals. Okay,
It's not just for women, Gordon.
I know, but I know. Well, I benefit from them all the time. But you were mentioning Henry Nouwen, one of your favorite writers.
Well, he's a mentor. I mean, like, his writing is spectacular. And he addressed something that I shared with you over this last week that I think is very powerful, and it dovetails right into what you're saying. That the power of darkness around us is strong, and our world finds it easier to manipulate self-rejecting people than self-accepting people. So the world can really take and manipulate your pain when you're rejecting your own self because of your pain. And that's something that a person in pain, or even the pain of being the caregiver and seeing that happen, if it causes, in the ultimate conclusion, I think, of the enemy, one of his biggest ploys with pain is to turn that on you and make you hate yourself, to be devoid of purpose, of power, of anything that seems kind and noble and lovely, and to just make you hate yourself. And if we can be self-rejecting people to ourselves, we've lost our connection to God. And self-accepting people, it's not about that you will ask. I mean, most of our trials are the stuff we never ask for in life. I don't think one person was born out of the womb, grew up enough to say, okay, God, I'm ready. Give me chronic pain.
That's right.
Not one person really chooses some of their trials. We don't choose our parents. We don't choose some of our family members. We don't choose our trials always. But self-accepting people accept the trial. We're going to take a journey through this.
They embrace their suffering.
Right.
And when you're having those thoughts circling in your mind over and over about pain, folks, hear me now. You might not be embracing your pain. You might be that self-rejecting person who's walking in a posture of being a victim.
Or denial. And denial, maybe, both.
Correct.
And Gordon, watching you go through this, self-accepting people, we are not saying this. We're not saying accept yourself and wallow in your pain. But you have to accept where you are. You were no longer the Dr. Gordon, you said. You became the Gordon. You became, there was a part of you that had to get to know the Gordon again.
I didn't even want to speak my name, Gordon. I got to the point of nothingness.
Yeah.
I didn't even want to share my name because I was embarrassed.
There was shame.
That I was not Dr. Gordon anymore. And that identity crushing thing that happened to me, I was at a point of going, I just don't want to get into the story. Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
What's your name? I almost wanted to tell people my middle name, Brent.
Well, I like that name.
Oh, I know you do. Okay. But I was at a point of, I don't even want to go through the exercise of being polite superficially.
Yeah. No, that makes sense.
I've got a roaring hell in me that no one's going to help me with anyway. I'm really just at the point of nothing's going to help.
But you're not under the shadow of a curse, even though there is pain.
Correct.
Because when you start accepting yourself, you start removing the sting of this curse, right?
Right.
It takes you into this state of hating yourself and into more of a state of curiosity of what if There's something, a new question, a new thing. So you're saying don't follow the first impulse. You have to kind of discern if you're rejecting yourself or not and accept yourself. And then a better question, a better thought is going to emerge out of that stems out of love for yourself. We're not called to hate ourselves. Even though we die to self, God never says to hate yourself. We die to our sins. We die to ourselves so that we can be connected to love, not that we can, tear ourselves down more. Yeah. So something in you, Gordon, God gave you the grace to start accepting yourself exactly where you were.
Right. And for me, on a practical basis, okay, and I'm wired differently than you as a woman and as a caregiver.
Really?
Yeah. Yes, Cherise. Okay. I was sick of being manipulated by the idea of a curse in my life. I was tired of it.
Yep.
And I knew the only thing I could do was no longer respond to my emotions about pain.
Wow.
Or I was going to remain a victim. And that 70% thinking about pain was going to turn into 99 to 100%. Mm-hmm. And then what happens is when you look at other people, you look at other people's lives and even other Christians' lives in the church, and there's this inward bitterness that you have where you look at other people with a critical heart. You look at them with a posture of judgment saying, you really don't understand it. You're living out the rosy life. You have no clue. Don't preach this message because it's not tapping into the depth. Nothing helps. It's not tapping into the depth of the suffering that I'm going through. Okay? And so what happens over time, you have to take new thoughts and change the way you think. Then your body reacts emotionally to what you think, and then what your body responds to your emotions.
That way the emotions are not the driving force.
Correct.
Because if you add the emotions to the pain, you're literally in a tornado.
Oh, and then the body is going to respond to your emotional state. Mm-hmm. Your emotional state is like the mind for the body. So your body goes, hey, you're reacting to 70% of pain thoughts all the time, emotions. You're as toxic and as broken as you can be within. Okay? The enemy has beat you up. You've become the enemy of your own life. You've already got a thief out there. We already have. The journey is full of difficulties and
bandits
and
robbers,
evil and wickedness and unfairness and injustice. The world already provides that for us.
We don't have to provide that for ourselves.
Right. And we don't have to take what's in the world, think we're going to bring it into our life, and that's going to change our pain thoughts. It's only going to increase our pain thoughts because there's unmet expectations.
You're right, because the enemy, I think, we get to a point where, yes, there is spiritual warfare, but the enemy doesn't even have to do anything anymore if you just keep hating yourself.
Right.
And beating yourself up.
Right. So we're taking position number one. We're acknowledging what's happening. I would say this: reset, calm down, breathe. Was that all I have to do? If you don't do that, you won't be able to focus on new thoughts. So what happens is that's where contemplation comes in. You could be a deep thinker. You could have meditation practices. You could be doing something as simple as Pilates, where you're breathing in and out and doing movements and coordinating your breath with your thoughts, with reorganizing your body, with lengthening, with stretching different muscles, with having low impact on your body. I'm using that as one example. But you need to get to a point where you say, I'm not going to dissect all of my thoughts for answers. I'm not going to delve into what I'm feeling emotionally. I'm not going to try to solve all the problems of life, because you know what? Your life is not about solving problems.
That needs to be said to everybody.
Right.
Yeah, including this woman sitting across
There's
from you.
1,000 problems.
Yeah.
Did you solve them all today, Cherise?
No.
Did you win the day?
And I mean, no.
Right.
In fact, it's probably better, again, to stay in that curious state
Right.
than in a problem-solving state.
Right. And we have to understand that we want to position ourselves away from being a victim. And that's where new thoughts come in. Here's let's talk about the journey. Okay? People can't even walk the journey anymore. They're stagnant when they're in chronic pain and they really believe there's no additional help. Nothing else seems to help. They are stagnant. And you know what they're craving? Do you know what I crave, Cherise?
What?
To be free. So if you want to live as if you're free, then you have to start living as if you're free.
Nobody can do that for you.
No, and once you start that type of journey with your life, then your life completely changes.
I couldn't even do that for you.
No.
You had to make a decision.
I was looking for a medicinal answer to my problems.
Yeah.
I was looking for some type of healthcare discovery.
Right.
I don't care if it's in medical technology or in brand new nutrition or anything else that would change who I was. It's almost like looking for a reward. If I walk out my journey of life, God, where's my reward right now? And this is my blessing. So if I do this by grace, what's my reward, Lord?
That's an if-then kind of faith.
Right. And that's a tough one because it takes away the becoming process and the intimacy that we can have with Christ within us. If we focus on the formation of what's happening within us.
That's right.
Instead of just getting some type of reward. The journey will do this. It changes your vision about where you're going. When you're stagnant and nothing helps, you're stuck. Folks, you're stuck. You just want to get unstuck to be free, even if you have pain. A bird that's ensnared in a trap, that trap might have shut on the bird's legs and one of them's broken. But the bird is struggling to get free. It's not struggling to have the broken leg fixed
You're
yet.
right about that.
It's struggling to fly.
You're right.
Let me get away from the trap. Don't let the hunter come and devour me. Let me move forward. I want to move forward. Okay?
I want to go help that birdie right now.
I know you do. So when that vision changes for your life, you begin to see what a transformed future might look like instead of what you may be dealing with in the heart of your suffering. You start getting glimpses. Through our brokenness, the light comes in. We start seeing different things. Folks, I'm sharing with you practical answers for renewing your mind and how your soul starts to see different things in the journey.
That's right.
This did not happen in one day. This took us years as a couple to discover this.
But I think people can quicken that time when they realize the possibility exists.
Absolutely.
And that's the thing that nobody told you or taught you through this journey.
Right.
That you wish that somebody could have, probably.
Right.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the last point. I know time is creeping up on us. We
It's
have
all
so
right.
much.
This is so good, Gordon.
You know,
I love this talk. I love the idea of being on the journey of healing. I love it.
Number 2, and we're only going to get to 2.
Oh, no.
Okay. Make a different choice and think differently. Now, what happens when pain never settles down? What do we do?
Yeah.
What do you do with chronic pain? And here I am at 30 years removed from my first day of causation and my source of pain. Even 30 days later, I have to make these conscious choices. Okay? There's an antagonism to life. I had to confront those antagonisms even within my body and say, I'm going to do something differently. Point A under this point. Reinterpret your pain differently. Because then you can reinterpret your past differently.
How do you practically do that?
You practically look at your past from a new mindset. Here I am as transformed. Okay. Here I am. I have a new mindset. I have to stick with new thoughts that will create habits with the way that I live. I have to get in that mode. The hardest time to get in that mode is day 1. It's a lot easier at day 7. It's a lot easier at month 3. It's a lot easier at year 24. It's a lot easier at year 30. Here I'm at year 30, and we've had a flare up. I've had a major flare up, and we've had jet lag and weather changes.
You had one this morning.
I had one this morning before we started this particular podcast. And here's the deal. I'm going to stick with the new mindset.
Yeah.
I'm going to stick with the fact that I'm on a road of transformation, and God in my weaknesses is showing me the power of God inside of me that manifests.
When every other part of you says, go to bed.
Every other
Sleep
part
it
of me
off.
says, don't believe in God.
Yeah. And just lay there and sleep.
Right. So point A is reinterpret your pain in your past with the new mindset.
Yeah.
And then point B is this. Confront your antagonisms of your suffering and your pain and your challenges with life with an attitude of curiosity.
Right. Instead of letting them be your pocket jury.
Right. Right. Knowing that you'll probably be wildly annoyed and unforgivingly inconvenienced in the process, you still have to go through the process.
Yeah.
Here's what's tough. You have pain. You've reached the max with pain. The max with pain tries to dominate who you are. Then you get to the point of saying, hey, listen, I don't have curiosity for anything. I want to walk in denial. I want to push anything out of my life that will cause me more pain.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you do that, you're going to eliminate movement with your mind, movement with your soul, movement in your faith, movement with anything that you do. And movement is life.
Absolutely. We say it all the time.
So you have to be willing to say, you know what? God's built strength in me, and I'll deal with this challenge, and I'm not going to just give up.
One of the fruits of the Spirit, when it's interpreted, self-control is actually interpreted as inner strength.
Yes.
That is a God-given fruit. That inner strength is what creates movement.
Yes, it sure does. And that inner strength relies on how God sees who we are versus how we see ourselves in pain.
Right.
Okay? What a big difference when that inner strength is there. But here's the point, folks. Let's really keep this simple. Surrender. Go through your reset mode. Make a different decision. Ponder on new thoughts. And Christians, if you want to pick up your mat and walk out your life practically, you want to become part of a healing journey, the healing journey. Here's what you do. You have to surrender to God in order to receive. You have to grow in trust. And that is really hard when you have a lot of pain.
Yes, it is.
But what's happened, I know for myself over the years, is that I'm going to tell you, it's really hard to trust him when pain keeps popping up. But if then you can start looking at your life and go, hey, listen, when pain pops up, it's another opportunity to trust more. I'm going to grow more in spiritual maturity.
That's so good.
Suffering is going to grow me closer to God, and I'm going to experience an intimacy in Christ that someone who didn't have suffering and who did not share in the sufferings of Christ, they're not going to experience the benefits that I have now.
That, to me, is the definition of reinterpreting your pain. Right there.
Yeah.
So good, Gordon.
Let's go through the valuable takeaways.
Okay.
What would you say to someone right now when they believe nothing else can help them?
I think the thing that, and the thread that I am on the journey of the most right now is lay down the sword you have against yourself. Just lay it down. Stop rejecting yourself because of your own pain. And stop comparing your life to other people who seem to have everything going right, maybe on social media or other things. Stop self-rejecting and accept yourself, because God accepts you in this moment, right where you're at, in your present state, with your chaotic thoughts. Accept yourself and let love in and begin the process. Get on the healing train with us.
Yeah. A self, and this is part of my valuable takeaway, and I'm that was an excellent message. Lay down the sword against yourself. Part of the difference between someone who's self-rejecting and someone who's self-accepting is this person who's self-accepting knows how to be kind, knows how to forgive their pain.
That's right.
Knows how to walk forward in a different way, realizes that the weaknesses that we have manifest the power due to God's grace, realize that there's opportunities to even connect with God more, even though he's fully connected with us. Okay, he's not separating from us when sin happens, or no, it's a process of deeper transformation.
Yes.
Deeper suffering leads to deeper transformation. But my takeaway is this, and it's just an announcement for everyone: become part of the healing journey.
That's right.
Bottom line.
Absolutely.
Bottom line. So you can get a hold of us at GordonandCherise.com. Get on the website. You can learn about how do I get the app? How do I purchase courses? How do I do all these things to become part of the journey? And at the simplest thing on Facebook, join the Better Living community.
Right.
Okay. So we're going to be very active on that this year. Because you said in the last podcast, I mentioned next year. It's this year. It's right now, 2023.
Can't believe we're in it, but we are. We're well into it at this point.
Thank you so much, Cherise.
Thank you.
For being part of this with me and part of the vision that God's put on us.
Thank you, everybody, for listening, and we can't wait to connect with you next time.